In this lesson, we are going to implement checkout form. As you see, it's gonna show checkout form to get buyer data. Let's make it active one by clicking here, make it yellow and change it to active feature. And then go to VS Code and create a branch for this. It's gonna be checkout form, and we are ready to start coding for this. Here is the plan. First of all, we need to go cart.js, and before moving to checkout part, we need to make the cart items persistent. We are going to use a local storage to save and retrieve cart items. If you add an item here and then refresh, it's gonna be removed. We are going to make them persistent when refresh the page. First of all, we need to go to app.js, and inside the method for adding item right here, after adding items and after setting the state, it's time to use local storage dot set item. Here we need to set two fields. The first one is the key, as the second one is the value. Let's set the key to cart items, and the value should be a string. But the point is the cart item is a JavaScript object. So we are going to use JSON.stringify to convert a JavaScript object to a string. So we need to implement this line of code in removing from cart right here. After setting the state, update the cart items based on this data. In the app.js and in the constructor, instead of setting cart items as a empty array, we remove that and use this JSON.parse. It's in reverse of JSON.stringify, and we are going to read from local storage get item. And what would be the name of the item? Yes, it's the name that we have used in set item. It's gonna be cart items. So by having these three simple lines of code, we are able to make the cart items persistent during refreshing pages. Let's test it. Oops. Also, but don't forget, we need to make sure that this object exists. So here, first of all, I check existence of this. If it exists, use this, else use empty array. Now, if I click add to cart and refresh, you see, I have it right here. Let's try that. And this time I'm going to remove this one. Remove this and refresh. Oops, the remove doesn't work. Let's make sure what's the reason it doesn't work. Inside the remove, I'm just setting cart item. Aha, it should be this dot state dot cart items, because after filtering we set the filtered data inside the state. Let's check it again. Click on remove and refresh. Oops, it doesn't work again. I'm going to use this style to make sure that it works perfect. It's exactly the value I'm going to set inside the cart items. Let's refresh and remove an item and refresh. This time it does work. Let's test again. Add an item and then remove the one that has 4 and then refresh. Yes, it does work. That's great. This is the first part of this session. And the next part is about implementing a checkout form. We are going to implement something like this. When user click on proceed, there should be a form to get email, name, and address from user. And when user click on checkout, we prepare data to save into database, but the backend part is gonna be done in future lessons. Very good. Let's go for it. We have done until step 6 and it's time to go for step 7. We need to handle the click event on proceed. Let's go to cart.js and when user click on proceed, we need to, yes, right here on click, we need to update this.setState show checkout to true. And at the very beginning of this page, let's define constructor and don't forget to apply probs and super probs, and this dot state should be show checkout to false. It means that by default we do not like to show checkout form, but if user click on proceed at this point, we set it to true. So it's time to implement the checkout form. Here is the place to create that. First of all, we need to check this.state.show checkout. If it is true, then it's time to create a dev to show checkout form. Create a dev, set the class name to cart, create a form, set on submit to this.create order, because we are going to create an order. Inside this form, let's make it close like this. We need to create a parent dev right here and then wrap all of this to dev inside that. Okay, inside the form, create a UL, set the class name of this UL to form container, and inside the container create li for label and for input. The type of input for first one is gonna be email. It is required. And on change, I want to define a function to handle input. Set the label to email. I'm going to make it smaller. Yeah, this is the email part. Let's duplicate this for name and address. Change it to name. The type is text. change this to address, and the label should be address. Sorry, the type should be text. So here I'm getting email, name, and the address. Don't forget to set a name field for them, like this. And also for this, the name is gonna be name. And for this input, the name is gonna be email. When user click on handle input, what I need to do is to create a function handle input. It's just a method function that accepts event, and inside this event I'm going to get access to the name of input box and the value of it and set the state based on it. So this dot set state should be here I'm using a square bracket and this dot and e dot target dot name, and the value should be e dot target dot value. By having this, I update the state of this component, and the default value for name should be empty string, email again empty, and address should be empty too. When user click on create order, but before that let's implement the li for create button. Here define button. The type of button should be submit, and the value or caption of it should be checkout. Set class to button primary. Let's go and implement the onSubmit handler. The name of it is create order. Create order, it's like this. Here the event object is raised by form, so I'm using e.prevent default because I'm not gonna refresh the page when user click on submit. And then it's time to create an order object. Orders equal to name is this dot state dot name, and also for email, address, and orders it should be email and address and cart items. It comes from props.cart items. So here is an order object, and we need to save this. This dot props dot create order and pass the order object. So this form or component is not responsible to saving this. The parent component should save that. So inside the app.js, which is the parent, I'm going to define a create order, and then it just accepts the order here, and I just put an alert. Need to save order for, and I'm just putting order.name. We will implement this later. Let's check the result. When I click on proceed, there should be a form like this, and when I enter test and test and click on checkout, it just gives me an error that I need to enter the right email. And if I enter empty string, it just show that I need to fill that. And when I click on checkout, I get an error. It says that this.props.create order is not a function because we need to pass the create order as a property for cart component. Let's go to cart component, and here it's time to set create order this.create order. By having this change, let's check the result and click on proceed and enter data and click on checkout. You see, need to save order for this. That's great. It's time to add style for email, name, and address. It's gonna be like this. Let's go for it. Open your index.css. Open index.css. For form container, set padding to 0 and list style type to none, and also set the width to 100%. It's gonna be similar like this. It's time to create a form container li, set display to flex and flex direction to column. And create a padding like 1 rem. So it should be like this. And also for the form itself, set width to 100%. And it's time to add some padding to input. Set padding to 1 rem. And also set border to 0.1 rem. C0, 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 solid. Yeah. So it should be very similar to this one, you see? Very similar to each other. So we have done with this lesson, and it's time to publish changes and create a pull request. Click here, and here is the number of files we have changed together. There are 3 files, app.js, index.css, and cart.js. The title of this message should be checkout form. And control click, and then publish changes. After publishing changes, like always, it's time to go to this repository, and don't forget, it should be yours, not mine. And an alert should be appear right here. Click compare and pull request, create pull request, and click on merge pull request. After that, go back to VS Code, change your branch to master, and then click on refresh icon to get the latest changes from server. By having this setting, you are ready to implement the next feature. As a last step, go to your task management, set this as a done, and change the color to green. So we are ready for the next feature, which is add modal and animation. Until that lesson, bye bye.